Welcome back to the show. For those of you just joining us, this is Veterans Issues. It is the only live call-in TV show dedicated to you, the veteran, where you'll have the opportunity to call and ask us questions over the next 25 minutes. So for those of you who have never seen the show, for 25 minutes, we ask that you give us a call, but please remember to keep the questions on topic. So for example, today we're going to talk a little bit about rec therapy. And so when you do call, ask questions about rec therapy. Don't ask us questions about pharmacy or when's your next doctor's appointment or things like that. So we're only going to focus on rec therapy today. And with that said, today my guest is Isabel, and she is one of the rec therapists at the Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. Isabel, thank you for coming onto the show.
Sure, thank you for inviting me.
Well, great. So, Isabel, before we begin, for our viewers, what is recreational therapy?
Right, so recreational therapy is actually one of the therapeutic approaches that we have to help veterans rehabilitate. It's either for physical, mental, cognitive, so it kind of involves body, mind, and spirit.
Okay.
But it's an alternative approach to a lot of the physical therapy or emotional, mental therapy or cognitive therapy.
Okay.
And there you go. There's a better description. So there is the recreational therapies and also the creative art therapists.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a difference in terms of the education that is received and the approaches that are used to help someone rehabilitate. Right?
Okay.
So recreation involves different leisure activities that can help a person kind of recreate themselves, find a new way of being.
Very cool.
Or find a new way of enjoying life.
Okay. And so there's different parts of rec therapy, like do different people do different things, or?
Different people do different things. Some people have certain specialties. For example, my specialty is in dance and movement.
Okay.
And that is a graduate level degree that you have to get a double degree in mental health as well as creative art therapy. Requires additional licensing.
Okay.
And what it does is trying to find ways for people to use their body to find an alternative way of expressing, whether it's expressing sadness or happiness or anxiety, but without words. And it works really well with trauma. The reason why it works really well with trauma is because trauma is nonverbal.
Okay.
It stays in a part of the brain that doesn't really has the words yet to express maybe the experiences that a veteran has had in the past. But the body doesn't lie. The body holds that trauma. So if somebody, for example, is having a lot of hypervigilance, you exaggerate that hypervigilance so you understand it, and then you can have... you can be more empowered by it, and by being able to kind of have that ownership of that anxiety through the body, and it's in a safe space, obviously, where you can feel the veteran is safe and ready to do that. Then he can begin to modulate, which means like to change the energy level of his or her body, so that he can have that option next time that he's hypervigilant.
Okay. All right. So again, for those of you just joining us, I believe the phone number is at the bottom of your screen. Give us a call with your questions or comments at 312-738-1060. We look forward to hearing your questions and comments. So one of the things you were saying is for you have a degree in both mental health and rec therapy or dance movement.
So dance movement. So for the VA, it's recreational therapy. It's actually a bachelor's level degree that you can obtain, but you also required to have a license in order to practice. And they specialize more in like leisure activities that can help an individual also rehabilitate. So for example, we have a scuba diving class, and I got some pictures of that if we want to take a look at those.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see, is that?
All right, so this is the scuba diving.
Yeah, that was our last class.
Okay.
And so what I really loved about this is that veterans are having fun at the same time, but they're also learning how to breathe. So they're really practicing their deep breathing. They're also practicing on how to be in an environment that's not familiar to them.
Okay.
That, they have no control over the water. I mean, they have their gas mask and everything, and they're learning the proper breathing skills and everything. So they're learning to manage their anxiety in an environment that's not familiar to them, and that then when you're out in the real world, you feel a little more comfortable. Like, well, I have this new skill. I know how to breathe better because I've been underwater in an environment that has not been familiar to me, and then they can translate those skills into maybe when they feel stressed out in big crowds. They've already been practicing this proper way of breathing, but they don't realize that because they were doing it through creative leisure activities.
Very cool.
So-
Very cool. Yeah, because one of the things that oftentimes clinicians will preach is breathing exercises and, being mindful and staying in the moment. And so for scuba diving, this is almost kind of like a practical, real world way of doing that without even the veteran having to kind of focus, like to say, like in the moment, okay, I'm going to breathe and do this and this and this. It just kind of
Right.
comes natural.
Exactly. And for example, with the scuba, you start slow. You start in a swimming pool, which is a safe space. Some don't make it. Some say, this isn't for me, and I'll try maybe again next year.
Okay.
And then later, we take him to a bigger place, and we do the open water diving, and I have a picture to show that.
Yeah, let me see.
Let's see. This one's actually this way, but let's see if it works there.
Very
There you
cool.
go.
Now, where is this?
So this is in the High Quarry. It's in the name of the town. I tell you, I drove about 2 hours. That's all I know. So which is another thing. We provide transportation, and so we have a group of veterans in a van who begin speaking and talking about their experiences in a very relaxed environment. So it's not a therapy room. It's a vehicle. We're driving. We're joking. They're more relaxed. They can maybe start talking about things that were never able to talk before, because it doesn't have the stigma of mental health, or the stigma of we are in a medical center.
Right, you're in someone's office, I'm in a chair, you're in a chair, you have to tell me all these vulnerable things.
Exactly. And people are seeing me walk in here, and you're doctor this, doctor that.
Right.
So we provide this other alternative way of kind of staying connected with yourself, with other veterans, with the community. Yeah.
All right, I believe we have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, hi. I'm a long-time watcher, first-time caller.
Well, thank you for calling.
So I'm also a veteran that attends services at the VA, but I haven't really heard about any of these activities, and I'm wondering why. And then I have a back condition that sometimes makes it difficult to do simple activities like bending over and picking up my shirt, and I'm wondering what accommodations you make for people with physical injuries, like
Yes.
myself.
Sure, definitely. So this is more physical, but recreation can involve also activities that are not necessarily physical. They could be relaxing activities, like it could be mindfulness classes. We have yoga. We have a chess club. So there are other activities that are also available. But if you have back injuries, or you're rehabilitating from maybe a stroke, but you still need to do exercise, you want to be active. We, for example, have a water aerobics or aquatic exercise class that we offer right across the street from Jesse Brown in partnership with UIC. And that is a way for you to, you take away the high impact of exercising. You're in the water, so the water holds your weight. And it's another great way to stay physically active, socially connected, and then not, improve in your back injuries or your stroke, or strengthening your body if that's what the goal is.
Great. Well, I have a related question. So, do you need to get medical clearance for this, and what would prevent someone from being able to, attend the water aerobics? And how much calories does it actually burn? I've gained a couple pounds since I've been off out of the military, and interested in weight loss activities.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So that's
Physical
a
activity.
really, really great question. And so there are two. There's two different. So there is. You do need to get some sort of clearance for anything that's physical. You need to get what is called a wellness consult, and that's basically your doctor saying, kind of explaining to us what kind of activities this person is allowed to do so that we can create a plan for them. If maybe they're not really able to do anything physical, then they require what's called a recreational therapy consult. That's a more one-on-one assessment, and we may even work out with them individually at inside the pool, or we work out with them in the community because maybe they're not comfortable in groups, or they're not really interested in physical stuff, or they're not ready to really reconnect with other vets, so we just do one-on-one work, or we will play chess with them at the chess club, but just the two of us together. So the recreational therapy consult is more for one-on-one work, while the wellness consult allows you to kind of do everything.
Okay, fantastic.
And so that does need to come through either your medical provider or your psychiatrist. But you could be referred to any of the recreational therapists through the social worker or to your psychologist, and then we'll just guide you. We can guide the veteran on how to obtain the consult. And sometimes we even talk directly with the providers to figure out if they can do the consult.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, caller, for calling in.
What are some of the goals that you work on with people individually?
Right. So some of the goals that we work with people individually will be if they need to improve coordination, whether it's physical coordination, or if they need to improve anxiety, or if they need to improve depression. So it's functional outcomes that we're trying to find that are measurable. Are they maybe before they were in a wheelchair, but they have some strength, but they want to start kind of working on making their left side a little bit stronger. So we worked on that until they feel more comfortable to getting into the pool by themselves. So that's something, for example, physical.
Will you be working with my doctors and my physical therapist and my primary care physician?
So we do stay in communication with your primary care physician. Physical therapists, usually what we recommend is that they do their physical therapy first, so they understand what physical therapy wants them to do, and then we can continue to add to the physical therapy treatment. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any other questions, caller?
Just Baba Booey.
All right. Well, you have a good day. Thank you for calling.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. There we go.
See, that's one of the things with recreational therapy is we have to deal with obstacles,
right,
all the time, right? And one thing that I really enjoy about recreation therapy is the word create.
Okay.
Which is why I brought these hats.
Yes.
To kind of show you, right? So maybe before you were happy, you were a farmer, you could garden, but then all of a sudden you can't do that anymore because you lost your sight.
Okay.
And so you get depressed. I can no longer be this cowboy I used to be. What can I do? So recreational therapy said, well, let's start telling jokes. Maybe you can be a joker now. You don't need to see in order to do that, right?
Nice.
So you're recreating yourself. You're finding a new way of being who you are, finding different ways of understanding your relationship with the new you that is, after coming back from combat or after having lost a limb or having lost something or, we know that veterans, go through difficult situations and when they come back home, it's a new, you have to recreate yourself.
Very cool. Very cool. And so and things like that. Like, do you guys do therapy in the sense of like after the activity, do you all sit down and talk about like what it was like and like how much, like, because when I think of therapy, I think of like you were saying before, like the office setting where it's like I sit there and I tell somebody all my concerns and problems, and then is that like how you guys work too, or?
Yeah, we do work. We do verbal processing about what the experience, what did it feel like, what do you think this is something you can continue on, or this isn't really me, maybe I want to try something new, why not? So we do process things like that about how the experience could be beneficial or how it's not beneficial.
Okay.
And oftentimes that could happen, in a very casual environment. So if we are in the community doing an activity, and I wanted to show also the different type of activities that we have available, because we have activities at Jesse Brown.
Okay. I'm gonna try and zoom in.
Let's see if we can.
Maybe this will work, and maybe it won't. Oh, I went the wrong way.
The other way. The other
Oh.
way. There you go. Back up. Back up.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, hold on. We'll get it. We'll get it. Well, look,
Yeah,
here we go.
there we go.
So, what do we have here?
So, for example, this is just examples of things because we work with a lot of community organizations, and out in the community we go fishing. We work with the Chicago Park District.
Okay.
And one thing I found about fishing is that veterans with PTSD who are not comfortable in big groups, but are comfortable in nature, and they're comfortable in smaller groups. And they have to practice patience, and they're out there, and we're out there waiting for the fish to bite, and they start talking and providing support among each other. And we, as the therapists, we're the facilitators to maintain that conversation happening so that they can feel connected with their fellow veterans.
Okay.
Another activity that we've done also has been judo.
Judo, nice.
Which has been very popular with our younger vets, our combat vets. Scuba diving, as we said it. Equine therapy, which is therapeutic horseback riding. That's a very popular program because the horse, it's a very sensitive animal. So the horse can feel the person's anxiety. And so that person has to start to manage that anxiety in order to keep the horse calm. So the horse becomes the therapist at that moment.
Nice.
Rock climbing, which is adopted as well for people with disabilities. Bowling, we do that weekly. Golf, we've done kayaking, cycling, music concerts, dance shows, sporting events, self-care retreats. Those are lots of things that we do out in the community. At Jesse Brown, we also have a number of activities. We have a facility dog. His name is Buddy.
Buddy, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture of Buddy?
I do have a picture of Buddy.
Let's see Buddy. Hold on.
Picture of Buddy. Find Buddy. It's a little blurry, but I think we can.
All right, let's see. This is Buddy. So this is the recreational therapy dog?
He is our decoration therapy dog. We have an hour where you can go play with Buddy, and Buddy is a very friendly. He does tricks, so you can learn all the tricks that he does. He's very loving.
Nice.
And this actually picture happened to be at our Cinco de Mayo celebration.
Okay.
So that was a theme dance celebration that we did on Cinco de Mayo, and we brought because again, one of our goals with recreation therapy is to help veterans reintegrate into the community and have communities so they can feel safe back into being a civilian.
Okay.
So bringing the community into the VA is also important. And on Cinco de Mayo, we brought the group of mariachi children from a local school here in Pilsen, the Orozco, which is an elementary school.
Okay.
And they came and gave the veterans a nice mariachi concert.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so we had hats, and we had piñatas and chips, and then just begins to create a better sense of a healthy environment, even if they're feeling, well, I have to go to the VA because I'm sick. So we're trying to focus on the things that they're not, the things that they still have, on ability rather than disability.
And that's actually a good question. How do you, sometimes people will identify themselves by their disability or by what they can't do. And a lot of your activities, what would you say to somebody who's like, I want to do judo, but I don't think I can, or rock climbing sounds really awesome, but I don't know if I can get out there and climb a rock. I mean, what would you say to them?
Right. So we worked with organizations that are actually able to adopt people that have disabilities. So they have special harnesses that will help them to feel more comfortable when they're doing the rock climbing. Same thing. What was the other one that you said? Judo.
Judo, or really any of the activities.
Right. So we have a vet who is in a wheelchair. Actually, he can stand, but he can't hold a lot of weight on his leg.
Okay.
But he can do a lot of the wrestling things on the floor.
Huh.
So he can actually throw someone on the floor and still practice some of those wrestling techniques that judo teaches. And I'm not using the right terms probably because I'm not a judo expert, but the judo teacher will teach him those different techniques that he could do so he can still do some judo.
Okay.
So there's a lot of the organizations that we work with understand that there are some limitations,
right? But
we're trying to focus on what can we do? What are your strengths now, and how can we adapt to what you have now?
Okay. I do believe we have a caller. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Okay, I was just wondering, I'm a veteran too. I go out to the Haas VA out in Maywood, And I was just wondering, I looked and saw the wonderful activities that you had on the screen just a minute ago with all the kayaking, judo, and so forth and so on. I was just wondering, I do live in the city of Chicago, by the way. I was just wondering, is it possible that I can sign up for some of those activities? I mean, even though I do watch the Heinz?
Even though that what?
So the question, I think the question is you get all of your treatment or care at Heinz, but can you come to Jesse Brown and enroll in the recreational therapy at Jesse Brown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the answer is yes, you can, because we're here for veterans. So the only thing that what we would need is a wellness consult from your provider, and it could be from a provider from Heinz. It just needs to come to to Jesse Brown, and then once we have that, then you can attend any of our activities. We also have what we call a wellness center, which is a full gym.
Okay.
And that is something you could, in fact, it's here. It's got the hours
Let me
as
put
well.
that back on.
So it's a pretty nice gym. I actually worked at the VA in Puerto Rico, and it's a very, very big VA. And the gym that we have is like 5 times as big as the one we had in Puerto Rico.
Really?
And we served like 1/3 of what we served in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So
And one more question I'd like to ask you, too, while I have you on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I understood that you had the water aerobic center across from Jesse Brown over there. Is there a fee for that, or even being a veteran, is there a fee, some type of fee for that water aerobics class? And what days are those classes?
yes, so there is no fee because it's part of our programming, our recreation therapy programming. What we need to do is meet with you first, and then we take you there the first day to give you the orientation. And the classes take place Mondays and Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. There's a couple of Monday and Wednesdays that it doesn't happen, so it's important to check our calendar. We will tell you which Mondays or Wednesdays those are. But once you get the full orientation, then you attend the activity. It's an hour activity. And yeah, it's no fee. It's part of our programming.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being so helpful. Thank you very much.
You will.
Thank you for your call, caller. Thank you. All right. So we only have a couple more minutes left, and so is there anything that you want to say or talk about that you want to leave with the viewer? Any sort of lasting impressions, things like that?
Lasting impressions. Well, I thought I wanted to maybe show some pictures.
Let's do it. Let's show some pictures.
That really is a more visual way
Absolutely.
of seeing like what our veterans are doing. For example, this was from our last self-care male retreat, where we went to a farm called Heroes of Freedom Farm. They raise horses for racing, for
Awesome.
what do you call this? This is
Like a chariot? Yeah, like a Roman chariot.
Right. And it's a very nice space. They're doing a lot of activities for veterans. That was recent. There you go, harness racing. Then we have a new program. It's of course, this is the dance movement therapy program that I'm trying to put together, and we've been doing stepping.
All
and
right.
this was last Tuesday. We went to a big stepping event in the community in the South Side, and the veterans were able to practice with more professional steppers on their basic steps,
Awesome.
things like that. This was another ladies self-care retreat that we did, where we did yoga, self-cooking, healthy cooking, something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A little bit of movement, which then you're doing exercise, but you're also doing sensory stimulation and breathing, things like that. We've got pictures of veterans having a barbecue, like a social gathering right outside the wellness center. We've got kayaking that has happened also.
Very cool.
We've got, let's see. Yeah, so here's...
And all of these things, the people don't have to pay for this. This is free?
They don't have to pay for it. It's free. There's a couple of things that make it have a cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, when we went to the stepping, it was a $3 entry, but it included dinner
Okay.
and dance lessons for 2 hours.
All right, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
So how does somebody get connected with you again? So the viewers who are watching, what do they need to do?
So what they need to do is when they speak to their provider, the medical provider, or
Like their primary care
the
doctor?
primary care doctor,
Okay.
or the psychiatrist,
Or
if
their
they-
psychiatrist?
just ask them, I would like to be participating in recreation therapy.
Okay.
If they are physical, they feel like they want to do a lot of physical stuff, a wellness consult
Wellness
is
consult.
what they would need. If they're not really into the physical, but they want to do more social, more community reintegration, because they need to work more one-on-one, they need a recreation therapy consult.
Recreational therapy consult. Awesome. But the first step, talk to your primary care provider, talk to your psychiatrist, let them know that you're interested in getting connected with recreational therapy. Isabel, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And for our viewers, as always, thank you for watching. We'll be back in 4 weeks, same time, Thursday, 6:30, and hope to see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.